Draven, I see is joining the channel.
There you go. We're live.
Perfect. Hey everyone, this is Beefed Martine, and you're listening to Boba's Alliance Roundtable Chat. This is a weekly thing that we get together at this round table and pass the feather. Whoever's holding the feather gets to talk, and whoever's not holding the feather is supposed to be quiet and listen. So if you want to come and take a shot at this, feel free to join in. We're in the voice channels on the Boba's Alliance Discord. I know some of you may be listening through a YouTube link or listening to a recording of this, but I just want to invite anyone who's hearing the sound of my voice and wants to take part in the discussion. Come on over. It's every Monday night at 8 Central, and we're just going to talk about stuff related to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes or other topics that may come to mind. When you have the feather, you could choose to ask a question to the table. You could answer one of the questions that's been asked, or you could just say something unrelated um, to specific questions or answering those. Anyway, when you have the feather, you're in control. Talk for a couple minutes and pass the feather on to the next caller. At this moment, we have 5 people seated at the table. 1 is Dylar. After Dylar, 2 is myself, Beefed. So Dylar will speak and then pass the feather to me. Then 3 is Kadara the Poet, so I'll pass the feather to him. 4, JD Suzuki. 5, Draven. And if somebody wants to be caller 6, you just come right on and join us. With that, I will pass the feather first to first person to join the table tonight, Dylar.
How's everybody's guilds doing this week now that the new GLs are a thing? Any kind of ramifications from that?
Not for me. Beef Martine here, number 2 at the table. And no, in fact, this week, I feel bad for our opponents in the territory war. They seem to have been mismatched against us, and the bot report had every indicator on the things shows that they're just weaker in every way. So they have less GL than us, and nobody in my guild unlocked a GL this week. So we're still at 1 Ray and 3 SLKRs, and it's great to have those along on the team, but nothing's actually changed for me yet. With that, I'll pass the feather to Kadar the Poet. Love in Alderaan places.
Hello, Kadar here. We haven't had any real impact in terms of territory war and such. Nobody in our guild has unlocked either of them, and none of our opponents have unlocked either of them yet. So it's been pretty much more of the same. I got nothing else really to say, so I'll pass it out to JD.
He may be muted.
Mm-hmm.
JD.
True. He's muted. There he goes.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, not really too much of an impact for my guild. Yeah, we had one guy in my guild get Jedi Master Luke, and neither of the guilds you faced in TW had him, so not really much of an impact so far. Draven?
No impact in my guild either.
I guess I can kind of comment then. We're going up against a guild right now who front-loaded both zones with all their GLs, and I'm not too sure they're going to clear one zone. Or they may clear one, but they're definitely not clearing the other one, since they don't have any counters. I think that defense, though, that they set was more of an FU defense, but that happens every once in a while.
Okay, shall I pick up the feather from there? That was a good question, but you had the best answer by far, Dylar. Beef Martine here, and I was wondering if anybody at the table has anything to say about a guild that suddenly left Boba's Alliance this week, and what happened with that. Sorry to those people whose guild is suddenly out of the Alliance. I heard there was a skirmish between the guild leaders and the Alliance leader, or something to do with territory war, and the guild leader saying that Boba's alliance was full of people who were soft on PvP, and it made it impossible for them to recruit good enough people to win. Anyway, I'm sorry that this happened, but I just wondered if anybody has any more detailed insight into why that guild stomped off in a rage.
I was present for that, actually.
That's Kadar. You're next on the table, so I just passed you the feather.
Yeah, so it was Station, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was, yep.
So a few days prior, they had been making some comments in a separate server of ours, talking about how some of us apparently have a quote-unquote bad rep for sandbagging, even though in reality, I believe that they don't require participation, so they sometimes have lower numbers, which leads to a potential mismatch, but they're not intentionally sandbagging. But of course, the other side obviously is going to see it as sandbagging, and so we get the trolls on Reddit, we get all those people yelling at us and all that jazz, and so Station is a very TW-focused guild. So when they're trying to recruit people who can commit to being very focused on territory war and such, and they hear that they're part of Boba's alliance, they sometimes get an apparent reputation that precedes or something along those lines. So they were talking about that. The conversation got shut down and nothing really happened again until the territory war after that, which was the one before we're in right now. And they were having more of the same issues. And then we thought they were just going to complain about it, but then quite literally out of nowhere, one of their officers said, all right, guys, we made the tough decision. We're going to be leaving the alliance and charting our own way for a while. And that was really all that was to it. They all suddenly left, and then the rest got booted from the server. Caught a lot of people off guard. And here we are.
Well,
Yeah.
he did not go that quietly. It was not that smooth. It was a battle of a fight before they left.
That was on the recruiting server, but let's see if JD Suzuki has anything to say about this. Nope, he disconnected. Draven, do you want to comment?
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
JD, your turn.
Soft wrestling sound is
I'll
exactly
go.
how I feel.
You might be having some issues.
Well,
Okay, Draven, you take it.
I'll take this. One thing I think is kind of funny is how people want to label our guild sandbaggers, but they forget that maybe their organization may have like 5 or maybe 6 guilds, maybe 8. We got like 50 guilds. How can they assume that everyone in Boba's alliance is a sandbagger? And that takes a lot of work to sandbag 50 freaking guilds. Personally, last TW, in my guild in Rise, we got sandbagged. So how can we be sandbaggers if we're getting sandbagged? That's all I need to say about that. It gets frustrating that people call us sandbaggers and they're just talking out of their beep.
It's just I think it's just more just like a generally associated reputation. So the more well-known guilds, Alpha and all of them, like the forums and such, they talk about those every time a territory war comes up, or somebody will mention something, and then somebody will mention Bobas, or mention Alphas, but because not everybody is really aware of the fact that we're an alliance of 50 or 49 now guilds, they'll just associate with all, even though they don't fully realize just how many guilds might be in the alliance. Because before I even joined this alliance, I hardly knew a thing about you guys. And then when I finally joined, I was just like, oh my god, that's a whole ton of guilds. So it's just like what you associate versus what the reality is. And our reality is we're always going to be associated with certain things, just because most people don't realize how big our alliance is. And that's just the way it is. It doesn't bother me too much personally.
Let's see, Dylar, do you want to say something about that? And then I would too after that.
oh yeah, I was in the well, this kind of like triggered finally into in the officer chat, and I know the leader of the station, or one of the leaders of the station, he was commenting that, and he was referring to his own guild as the best Boba's TW guild, and he was blaming all the other guilds, that the fact that he had alts in his guild, he was blaming the other guilds for the fact that he has alts, because he says that, and this is his exact words, because I'm looking at the screenshot, he says, Boba's is a frickin' plague to anyone that's good at PvP. And then he went on to say, and speaking of such, who won the battle of the double sandbags, which was Robot Wizard and Alpha matched up in the last TW. So he was being a little bit of a douche popsicle. And I tried to be like a calm and say, the best way to dispel this notion that Boba's is a plague to anyone good at PvP. First of all, that notion is false. Like, it's false. It's a vocal small minority of people on certain servers perpetuating that stereotype. And I told them all you got to do is interact with these people, and eventually the stereotype goes away, which it had been gone away for a while, until this said person from the station decided to go on to all the Reddit pages and totally slander Boba's Alliance and all of our recruiting posts, which just proves how much of a said douche popsicle he is. So, I know that the officers or whoever of their guild left and decided to leave, and after they decided to leave on bad terms is when the rest of the members were also kicked. That's debatable whether or not they should have been kicked without a lot of notice, but you would think that when their own officers decide to leave the Alliance that they would inform their own guild. So it was a messy day, but I don't know what was up that guy's butt, but he was throwing out, the place to not rag on other guilds in your Alliance is in the officers channel. So whatever.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. Beef is next at the table, and yeah, I introduced this controversial question just because it's not that big of a deal, for somebody to get a little upset and leave over stylistic differences. The thing that I think was a misunderstanding is that Boba's Alliance could or would enforce any kind of play style, because we're, as you said, an alliance of 49 or 50 guilds that are 50 members each. It's like there's no way that we could push anyone to be anything. And so if we got a reputation for not being pushy somehow, I think that's just a reflection of the laissez-faire style of Boba's Alliance, which is how bounty hunters work. And you got to have a certain tolerance for other play styles to be in an alliance of a large size. And if somebody chooses to become intolerant towards that open-minded attitude, then yes, they can go and have a more exclusive circle of brains to work with for strategy. That's okay. It'll be a smaller circle too, though. But anyway, that's fine, and I have absolutely no ill will for Station or their leaders or anything like that. And that's why I kind of think it's no big deal for a guild to come and go, because after all, there's 50 of us, and we don't have to work together all the time on every single contract that comes out. So, people can leave, and it's okay. No hard feelings. I agree with the decision of the Alliance officers to not invite the members of Station at large to join other Boba's guilds, because I think that would be an insult overall towards Station, who we love. So there's no reason to offer them that insult. But anyway, Boba's recruiting policy is already well known, and so people know how to get in touch with Boba's recruiters, I hope. But spread word of mouth to other people that who are cool and friendly and play this game. And before I pass the feather, I just wanted to say, what is sandbagging? I mean, after all, if being TW optional, and we are in my guild, or the guild that I'm in, Utter Madness, I don't see a difference between that and sandbagging in a sense. And it may not be that the weakest people are the ones that sit out. It could be that the ones that are the least enthusiastic about TW sit out. And so you've got more oomph in a TW optional guild than in a guild where they're driven to fight by, a whip, whatever the point of a electroprod. Shocker. Anyway, thus concludes my rant, and I now pass the feather and open for a new topic of discussion to Kadar.
Alrighty, well, I got a much more fun subject of conversation. As we saw today in the first of many Mando Mondays, we've got a lovely indication as to the current road ahead of the game. We've got Quill and IG-11 with the child and backpack coming to the game in the next couple of weeks, and according to the video, more Season 2 characters coming out later in the winter. Now, before I say anything else, are we allowed to discuss potential spoilers for Season 2 on this stream? Because I have heard many casting things, and I have seen some confirmed casting reports as to who is going to be in it and who I believe they're going to be playing. So I don't know if people are comfortable discussing that, or should we put a spoiler warning in, or what's the rule there, Beefed?
Well, I don't think that anything that we would be discussing is like a true spoiler, because there's no hard confirmations, right? So I think that if we're just speculating, that's open. We can speculate.
Yeah, the only confirmations I have are to certain people who are going to be in the show, but not necessarily who they're going to play.
And I'm not in charge of the world. Since you have the feather, if you want to put a verbal spoiler alert, sounds to me like you already did that. You could say whatever you want when you have the feather.
Alrighty, so we got spoiler warnings abound. The first speculation I have is not a spoiler at all, thankfully. Obviously, we've got 5 characters now with Quill and IG-11 joining. That's going to be a full squad. My assumption is they're going to be needed for a legendary, and quite often legendaries are, you gather characters of one faction, you get a legendary from the opposing faction, so this is going to be these guys up against Moff Gideon, and he'll be the legendary, and he'll be a new Imperial Trooper leader. But going into the more speculative spoiler territory, we know that there's going to be a couple characters. We know there'll be new characters this season, or rather, possibly returning characters from previous shows, specifically the animated shows. There's been long, heavy speculation that Boba Fett, Captain Rex, and Ahsoka Tano are all going to be present in the form of Tamara Morrison playing any clone characters, and then Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka Tano. Now, it is confirmed that Rosario Dawson is in fact going to be in the show. You could thank Disney's German Instagram account for dropping that little tidbit on their story, but there's no confirmation as to who she's actually playing, but anybody's intelligent guess is that it's going to be Ahsoka Tano. Another actor that has been confirmed for the show is Timothy Olyphant, and he is speculated to play a character. I believe his name is Cobb Forth or something like that. I know it's CV, those initials, and he is the sheriff of a town on Tatooine called Freetown or something like that, and he's notable. He was introduced, by the way, in the Aftermath novels. He's notable because he wears a very distinct set of Mandalorian armor that he acquired from some Jawas that were scavenging the wreck of Jabba's sail barge. Now, it is established that this armor is in fact Boba Fett's, so 2 potential characters that might show up in Season 2 and thus in the game are this guy and also much more aged and wizened Boba Fett, possibly without his classic armor. So we might get a second version of Boba Fett in the game. And then I would say we might get a third version of Ahsoka Tano in the game, as well as Sabine Wren. She has also been rumored to be played by Sasha Banks. We know Sasha Banks was in the show thanks to the trailer, but there has been no confirmation as to who she plays. But if she does play Sabine, and given the whole Mandalorian stuff, it would stand to reason that we could actually get a whole Mandalorian squad at some point, which would definitely be something. So that's all my speculation. I will pass the feather now to JD if he is still here.
I haven't done a lot of research on like Mandalorian season 2, so I don't like to get a lot of like spoilers for it. So I have heard of Ahsoka and Boba and Rex and stuff. So yeah, I'm thinking we might see like new characters for them. But yeah, other than that, I don't got much.
All right, since you went that way, what about the known controversy, let's say, that happened on set with the Mandalorian asking to take his helmet off more on screen and being allegedly kicked off the screen. What do y'all think about that?
I did read about that.
That's a great thing to toss in. Feather goes next to Dylar.
Well, as per all of the rumored people coming into the show, I'm going to withhold much speculation because it could very well we only see Ahsoka and Rex in a flashback. It could just be a couple scenes and that's it, just for an Easter egg for the fans. So yeah, these people could be in it, but I don't foresee them having large roles. I think that would take away from the Mandalorian's story arc. I could see one episode, and they'll wrap it up in that episode. As per the actor's little drama on set, I've heard a bunch of different takes about it, and it sounds like that he's agreed to still do the voice acting, but he is not going to be the actual physical actor anymore. That was kind of the compromise that they came to. So that's what I think is going to happen.
It's interesting. I don't follow the Mandalorian, or I don't have Disney Plus, so I've not seen one episode of that show, but the characters are kind of neat. I heard that Mandalorian can disintegrate, so he's a good bounty hunter. You want to get him on a squad that gets its payout really fast in the game, because then he can disintegrate and kill somebody instantly. So that sounds cool, and I'm farming shards for that, but I haven't got him up enough to use them yet.
As per speculation, well, just
Oh.
on the same topic, as per speculation about these characters coming into game and what that's going to mean, I really don't, like, everyone's saying that, what's his name, the big bad, Moff Gideon's going to be the legendary. That'd be a pretty weak legendary since we don't really know anything about him yet. I can't see that being what we need these characters for. Like, I'd say...
It's not that. It's not that.
What's that?
I don't think it's Moff Gideon. I think that the big legendary is the Baby Yoda character.
I would disagree with that just because it's going to be... Baby Yoda is already going to be on IG-11, so they might view that as unnecessary.
Maybe there isn't a legendary.
Just
We've
thought.
had precedent of them putting out a whole squad of a faction and not giving us a legendary to follow it up with.
This is true too. I feel like they're careless in this fashion, and when you guys said that they would be careful and not overuse Rex or Ahsoka Tano and stuff like that, oh, I think they will. That maybe this will be the Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum rework, and that's what it should be in game terms, because we've had that Tano Fulcrum character for a while, but it hasn't quite had a good enough tie-in with any team to make it actually usable. I think they're going to actually rework Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum. Anyway, I've lost track of the feather, but I would pass next to Kadar.
I'm not so sure if they would rework Ahsoka Tano, because normally when like somebody's doing a rework, yes, it's usually like thematic with what's happening in Star Wars at the time. But this would be completely changing her faction as well, because at this point, I'm not sure if Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano will qualify as a rebel anymore. So they would have that to consider as well. I think it would actually be easier for them to just make a third Ahsoka Tano character. I mean, it's not exactly unprecedented. We have how many Hans and how many Chewies again?
Well, and we did also see at the end of Rebels that it was a white-robed, staff-wearing, Gandalf-looking Ahsoka.
Ahsoka the White.
Yeah, it was basically Ahsoka the White. So it's, I think the lightsaber-wielding Ahsoka that we know and love from Season 7 of the Clone Wars, I don't think she's coming back. It's going to be a different, wizened, like, old Ben type character now.
She's got the lightsaber and the staff.
Because you got to remember how old she would be in this show. Like, she's like...
She would be 45 in Mandalorian Season 5, if I remember correctly. She was either 40... Yeah, she'd be 45.
That could be the Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum character. They'll just put the new actress's face on it. That'll be her costume show, because they already have this established.
Yeah, but she's not
And
Fulcrum
a slight
anymore, right?
rework on her tags. if she suddenly becomes whatever this new faction is, so that she synergizes with them.
Has there ever been a rework that has completely redone the characters' tags?
Oh, that's a great question.
No.
I don't know.
They've redone like a name. Like I remember what Ray went to Ray Scavenger, and they've changed the wording of the name. And I think if they were going to give us the Ahsoka from the show, they'd have to drop the Fulcrum tag, because that was a callback to the Rebellion era. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for getting a rework to Ahsoka, since mine's sitting at Gear 12 with a Zeta on it. I just don't think that's likely.
Okay, let's see. I pass to Kadar. Kadar passes to JD Suzuki. What are your thoughts on the topic at hand, or introduce a new question?
I think we already went around for that question. Unless anyone else has something that I got nothing left for it.
Got a new question?
Sure. How did everyone's GAC go this week? Draven?
I hit Kyber again, and since you mentioned about GAC, what do y'all think about the net GAC that they're supposed to be 3-on-3 coming up next?
Ilar?
Well, I hit Kyber in my GAC. I went 8-4, so not my best showing, but definitely not my worst showing. I did my worst in the last week. It's weird. Week 3 I went 3-0, but then week 4 I went 1-2. But I was up against some really, really tough opponents. Now, as per the upcoming season 3v3s or 3v3, I remember at first when they introduced that game mode, I hated it. I despised it with a passion. But then the last round of 3v3, I kind of really found my groove, and I just unlocked and maxed out with the span of an hour my Jedi Knight or Jedi Master Luke today. So I think him on defense in 3v3 is gonna definitely benefit me a little bit. I'm not, because no one knows what the counters to him in 3v3 is yet. So good luck to my opponents in the first week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 3v3.
For me, my GAC did not go so well in the last round. I had lost the first 2 rounds. At one point, I was going to start attacking and forgot. So I lost the first 2 rounds, this last bit of GAC. And on the third, I just tried to set the worst, stinkiest, most unpleasant defense I could possibly think of, so that my enemy would not even want to attack, and it worked. But I still had enough left for offense to break through on the south side and clear 2 territories. So I won the third round, but overall it was a mess. I like 3v3 though, because it's something different and throws everybody off their game a little bit. I tend to do better in 3v3, or at least have more fun, because I'm that guy who sets experimental squads in GAC. I don't really care too much to try to set a perfect meta team off swgoh.gg website, but I like to try something that you have never seen before. And so good luck to my enemies. All right, a pass to Kadar.
Well, I made Kyber for the first time, actually. I was actually really thrilled about that. Making it the first time is always just so fun, and then it gets boring after that, I assume. I sometimes enjoy 3v3. I sometimes hate it. I have a legend at least, so that takes some of the pain out of it, because a legend on a 3v3 is a lot more valuable sometimes than 5v5, because it's a lot more tricky to come up with good counters for those legends, especially if you're trying to use Vader on them. So you more often than not have to either throw your own legend up against it, or get a very, very strong squad up against it, but that could screw you over for later stuff. One thing I was curious about, Divisions 2 and 1 people, do you know if fleets are still going to be 2 zones, or is it back to 1 zone on Divisions 2 and 1?
I've heard both answers. I know in the official calendar post it said +1 fleet, So it could very well be 1, but I've heard on other people's streams that they said it's 2, so maybe it was confirmed on some other platform that it is 2 for Division 1 and 2. I would assume, like, they're not, if they're going to give us 2 ships in 5v5, I don't know why they would give us 1 ship in 3v3. So I just bank on 2, but just know that officially on the forum post it was only stated to be 1.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then. Who do you pass the feather to? Is it JD Suzuki?
Yeah, I passed it to JD.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it'll be 2 fleets again, but yeah, not too sure about that. And my JC, I faced my first opponent who had a Galactic Legend, so that was kind of fun. I was able to one-shot it with my Vader squad. That was pretty cool. I still got first, so yep. Draven.
Yeah.
Like you said before, I heard both countered. Some say 1, some say 2, but one thing that's good about 3v3, it just happens every so often. So every time you kind of have to really re-look over your roster and see what's the best combination that's currently have, not by what you used last time. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I always have 3v3 in mind, so like as new characters have come in these last 2 months since we've had 3v3, I've been kind of updating my 3v3 teams and shuffling people around as new characters have come in, and we haven't gotten a whole lot. We got Mon Mothma, so you know everyone and their dog is probably going to do Mon Mothma, Baze, and Chirrut. That seems like a good 3v3 team, so there's one. And then we've got Jedi Knight Luke, and then the 2 new Galactic Legends. Well, if you got Jedi Master Luke, I'm probably going to set on defense Jedi Master Luke, Jedi Knight Luke, and Hoda. So those are really the only new pieces I have to play with. And then we'll see.
Dragailar is beefed, and I gotta say I was distracted from the question because I was looking at my phone and I was collecting my rewards, and I see I did not win round 3. I lost. The guy must have attacked at the last minute.
Oh
He
no.
beat me by 50 points, so I lost 3. I was 0 for 3. Oh well, that was fun to try. But anyway, on the question of 3v3 squads, I think my favorite 3v3 squad to deploy is CLS, Raid Han, and Chewbacca. And I don't think that's going to change because I don't have any Galactic Legends unlocked, but that's a fun squad to place on defense because whatever you do, you're going to get blasted. Okay. What's your best 3v3 squad, Kadar?
Gotta think about that one. I'm gonna go ahead and say gas.
Okay.
A lot of people often don't expect gas on defense because he's such an offensive powerhouse. But you throw a 3v3 gas on defense, that more often than not you're gonna have to shift your strategy quite a bit because he could be quite nasty.
You put 5s with him?
Sometimes I put 5s with him, sometimes I say 5s for the offense. But more often than not, I'd probably put 5s with gas just to make him worry about that sacrifice with whoever I end up putting with.
Very good. Same question to JD Suzuki. What's your best 3v3 defensive squad that you love to place?
Yeah, so a squad I played last time was Rolo, Captain Han, and Chewbacca. And that squad got me quite a few defenses for me. And yeah, since I got Jedi Knight Luke, I got them all relics up, so actually get pretty good defenses. And then also, Finn with the Hero Bros, that also does pretty well for me. And then I'd just like to say,
Which one again?
last. What was that?
What was that second one you said?
Finn with the Resistance Hero Bros.
Yeah, that's a staple on defense nowadays.
Those are really good. Draven,
Yeah, and
same
then
question. Oh no,
well,
carry on.
I got one more. With 2 fleets. Last month it did say 5v5 plus one fleet, and this month it says 3v3 plus one fleet. So I'm guessing it'll be 2 fleets again. Yeah, Draven.
Well, my favorite one last time, because it's been so long, I was still working on it. I put on defense. I actually put Padme on defense. Padme with Ahsoka and blanking on the other name. Everyone knows Anakin.
Was this? Yeah, Annie.
Thank you. I think it's time to pass the feather to Dialer.
Well, I'll take. I'll just still discuss some 3v3 teams. I love my Raid Han and Chewie with Rey on defense. Like, if you want to take that down, since basically it makes guard go onto Rey, so you can't crit her, you can't crit Han, and Chewie's just sitting there healing everybody. The go-to counter, if someone's going to beat that, they got to save SLKR, Thrawn, and either Watt or Hux. So that's going to be the linchpin that my defense is built around, is that Rey team, as well as the Jedi Master Luke, Jedi Knight Luke, and Hoda team. And then on offense, my go-to teams are going to be obviously SLKR, Thrawn, and Hux to counter other people's Reys. And then it's all kind of just hope and pray teams like Gas on offense, Padme, Revan, or Jedi Knight Revan. Actually, a really good 3v3 offensive team, if you got it, is Bosk, Django, and Boba. Because Bosk, he's going to get his taunt off, and then Boba and Django can avoid tanks and can kill, or whoever they kill is basically permanently killed, although Django's the only one that has a perma-kill on all of his abilities, and Boba only has a perma-kill on his missile. But you can get a lot done with that team on offense if you got it built up enough. And then with Chupio, since now I have him, I'm thinking Chupio with 3PO and CLS is just kind of a standalone A- offense team.
I've been placing C3PO sometimes with a couple Ewoks because his bonuses are all double for Ewoks, and people don't expect that. But sometimes C3PO is one that gets stuck on offense for me because he doesn't have an attack, and in 3v3 you want an attack, and kind of the more stuns the better, because the effect of something like a stun is so much amplified in 3v3. And that's why in the back row, I play Gar Saxon lead, and I put Royal Guard, because Royal Guard will then retaliate and stun on his basic attack. And people don't expect that kind of thing from the Empire. So whatever third Imperial goes on with them, that's a pretty good 3v3. Anything that makes them retaliate as a leadership, it could be considered for a potential 3v3 squad. And I like to set unexpected squads, so that's my opinion on it. Well, the feather passes then to Kadar.
Alright, I gotta think of a new question now. Talked about Grand Arena, we've talked about Territory War, we've talked about the new Mandalorian Season 2. Oh, I know. Obviously, Mandalorian Season 2 is the forefront of many Star Wars fans' focus, but there is another show on the horizon early next year in March or April, known as The Bad Batch. Do we think they'll get a lovely squad in the game?
Yes, I think so.
The feather should pass to J.D. Suzuki.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool to see a Bad Batch squad, but yeah, I don't really know much about the show, but that would be pretty cool to get another clone squad.
All right, so I can provide a little backstory quickly in case people haven't heard. Do you mind, JD?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So what we do know is it does not take place during the Clone Wars. This actually follows the Bad Batch after the events of Order 66 and the immediate formation of the Galactic Empire. So we see them trying to make their way in this new galaxy and trying to find a new purpose for themselves after, well, the war ends. So I imagine story-wise we'll see quite a bit about them dealing with what happened, and we'll probably find out very quickly as to whether or not they actually executed Order 66 themselves, or if their genetic mutations maybe prevented the chip from taking hold, or what very much if they even had the chips. From what I believe is also confirmed, it will also be in the Clone Wars animated art style as well. So expect the quality of it to be very high. And I'll go back to JD now.
I got nothing else you can ask the Raven.
I think it could be very interesting, and I like you said, it's supposed to be post the Order 66, but they're probably definitely going to have backflashes and showing what they did probably in a time period. What do you think? What do you think? Since we can just theorycraft, have fun with this subject. What would you want to see in the new cartoon series?
See, in a whole new cartoon series?
Well, in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, so the Bad Batch is their own show.
Yeah, I don't really have any excitement towards that kind of content, because other than Echo, I don't care for any of the characters. Yeah, I don't know. I'll watch it, but I don't have any expectations, and it doesn't really pique my interest. I actually thought that the Bad Batch characters themselves, other than Echo, I found them quite annoying, to tell you the truth. In season 7, I did not actually enjoy them.
Funny, I had the opposite reaction that I beefed when I saw the Clone Wars episode about the Bad Batch, and there was kind of some interaction with the janitor who was talking to them when they were going to have to repeat their basic training or whatever. I thought it was some of the more emotionally connecting moments in the Clone Wars series for me up to that point. But I think that's why I like the Bad Batch, or I like the A New Hope version of the Rebellion, is that that feeling that even the misfits have a place together as a collective, and then I think that it's just a reassuring or an affirming view of humanity, and so that even though these poor dudes are clones after all, they still have a level of humanity that even their janitor, who is a failed clone, had, and he was able to rise up and fight as a hero when the moment was upon us. So I felt like the Bad Batch for me was like some of the most connectable material they put out in the past few years, much overshadowing the sequel trilogy in terms of overall significance as far as Star Wars stuff, because it allowed me to fall in love with the clones in a way that I've never really had, since I see them as an inhuman, just a duplicate of, I guess, is it established? I mean, Boba, Django is not necessarily human, or is he? Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll reuse some of the clones that I really need to raise now, because I just got General Anakin Skywalker, and he's up to 7 stars and gear 9. So I'm looking for some good clones right now. All right, I passed the feather to Kedar.
Right, so for those who might be listening in the audience, quick backstory on the Bad Batch in case you have absolutely no idea who we're talking about. The Bad Batch is referring to Clone Force Squadron 99, It was a squad of 4 clones originally. They were all unique in the sense that they had certain defects that actually enhanced their capabilities in combat. Commander Cody had assembled the crew after the heroic efforts and then sacrifice of the Janitor 99, which is where they get their name from to honor him. 99 sacrificed himself during the Battle of Kamino during the show Clone Wars, and this was basically his legacy, as it were. Taking it back to Galaxy of Heroes for a second here, assuming Echo's in the squad, I think they're going to be one of the most synergistic teams that we might ever encounter in the game if they do it right, because each of the clones, they have their own specific role, with Hunter as the leader, and then Echo could be the support slash droid character, since thanks to Wat Tambor's lovely, definitely non-voluntary modifications to his body, he has the ability to interface with droid components on separatist ships and such. So I can't assume as to what all their synergies will be, but I hope that their synergies are some of the most potent in the game. And with that, I will pass it back to JD to continue the discussion or come up with a new question.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Draven, you wanna ask a question?
Well, I'm gonna continue on with one. Like other people say, I understand what you're saying about it. Kind of that anyone can fit in. They did the same thing in the movie with the Jedi, trying to say that anyone can be a Jedi. But I too did not really care for the Bad Batch that much, you know. And I have questions. I don't have any other questions right now, but I may think of something later on.
Okay, the mic or the feather passes to Dylar. You want to say a wrap it up type comment where it goes around one time and everybody says the last word?
All right. Well, let's just discuss in-game rosters right now. So, what what do you have on your favorites list, everybody? So right now, since I just finished off my Jedi, I'm not pivoting to go for Sith Eternal Empire. Screw that farm. I'm building up the rest of my roster on all of my holes that are going to build teams out of my top 80 for matchmaking. I do not have it in me to go for another Galactic Legend right now. So on my favorites list right now is the Super Mon Mothma team. I got Mon Mothma obviously to Relic, but then it's going to be Cassian, Pow, Scout, K2SO, and Kara. So there was just a video that came out today from Bulldog showing that lineup, minus Kara, is able to 60 banner beat a top-notch triple tank rating with Hero Finn. So that's what I'm farming. What are you guys farming currently?
I'll take that next, and I totally believe that on that Mon team, because Cassian, because he puts out the red triangle. All right, my favorites right now are Lando, Captain Han, Rebel Officer Leia, Wampa, and Hermit Yoda, and those are the ones that I'm pushing on for Jedi Knight, Luke Skywalker. I think I'm getting closer and closer. None of them are up to G11 yet. They're all G10 and below, but anyway, that's what's on my favorites list. Oh, but dangling at the bottom, Mon Mothma, gotta raise her, and Chupio, the Mandalorian, Grief Karga, Rose Tico, because come on.
Oh, no.
Might as well go 7 stars on Rose, and we need her for TW, we need her for platoons. And then I'm still working on Vulture Droid, Hyena Bomber, and Rebel Y-Wing. Those are all, 6 stars working their way towards 7. So I pump those ships up every day too, those 3 ships. Pass it to Gadar. What's your favorite?
I'll tell you what, my favorite right now is literally anything involving Sith Eternal Emperor, because I need that legendary. Or Galactic Legend, I'm sorry. After that, I'm farming Rebel Y-Wing and also getting Grief Karga as a result of that. Absolutely a fantastic note to farm. You get Karga, Y-Wing, brilliant. And I'm also farming Mando when I can. And after I get Palpatine, I'll probably get Mon Mothma team while I work on getting the other 185 shards needed for the Wampa.
It's a long way.
I
JD,
know.
since Okay, same question.
JD.
I got Piet on my favorite list here. I had a lot of fun on the Imperial team there. So I'm starting to work him up a little bit, and been working on Mon Mothma a little bit too. But all my Rebel fighters are pretty garbage right now, so got a lot of work to do there. Draven.
Well, I'm kind of old school, and I know this is going to hurt a lot of people in this chat, but I've read a lot of the Star Wars books, and a lot of them have now been canceled or canonized or legendized. You know, there's a Disney takeover, and I never really cared for, and I still don't care about is the Revens. I'm working on Revens because I have to, but I despise Revens.
Oh no.
But those are your favorites right now.
That's one of my favorites right now, yeah, because Old Republic, until they're in a movie, then Disney can't just wipe them away like they did with all the X-Wing video games, then it's not Star Wars yet.
Well, you know, Revan
Darth
was...
Revan is canon.
Well, no, they scrapped that episode of Clone Wars. So technically, right now he's still
Oh
not canon.
no. He was made canon in episode 9.
Oh, in the
Cameo, that barely
No,
counts.
that wasn't a
right?
cameo.
Yeah, one of the squads was named the Revan Legion.
Yeah, that is correct. You're right there.
That's trivial. That's Trivial Pursuit. Okay.
I
think it's time.
They need to make an Old Republic TV show, movie, and that way Disney can't mess it up like they did the last 3 movies.
Well, you know, everybody does want that. The thing is that Disney won't make it because the version of it that we want, like all Game of Thrones-ish and stuff, we'll never get. We'll get the watered-down Disney fairy tale, High Republic versions, which is what they're pushing on us now. They're never going to give us the Old Republic that we deserve.
Well, High Republic is it's not close to Old Republic at least. It's young Yoda at least. So I doubt we're going to see Revan there. As long as we see Keanu Reeves playing Revan at some point, I'm a happy camper.
Let's go for one more time around the table, and then we'll pull the plug. Tyler, what have you got to say?
I don't really got anything else. Like I was saying in chat, I'm kind of burnt out on 5v5. I never thought I'd say that. I'm kind of going to enjoy this week off of no GAC and a dark side territory battles. It's going to be just a clear coast week for me. So I'm going to probably play a little Squadrons on Twitch and maybe some other old games. And I'm going to just kind of relax and take a break and then start fresh with next week when 3v3 kicks off.
Say thanks for coming, everyone. That it's been a good roundtable chat, and that we intend to do it every Monday for a few weeks. Who knows how many episodes this could go, because it's pretty easy to work on. There's really nothing you have to do to prepare to run this show. So if you want to start up a roundtable discussion in your time zone, go ahead, giving the idea away. And so if people want to use it to do a Euro-centered one or something like that, I encourage any of my listeners to take this idea and expand it and pass the feather around your table wherever you might be. And it's a good method for having a conversation or resolving conflict sometimes, finding consensus. And therefore, I am going to sign off, and I'll pass the feather to Kadar.
All I will say is I wish everyone luck in the upcoming territory battle that will be happening in 2 days' time. Whether you're doing Dark Side Geonosis or Dark Side Hoth Imperial Retaliation, I hope everybody gets all of their guild currency that they need. Get your gas, get your mallet, get your wampa, get your hodas, get whatever you need to get your farms going. Good luck to everybody, and I'm going to be signing off now.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to have it's gonna be nice to have a little week off with outside Jericho down, no TXT. Yeah, just nice week to relax and get prepared for 3v3. Peace out, everybody.
Raven.
It doesn't matter if you're as light as Yoda or as dark as the Emperor. May the Force be with all of us.
All right. And with that, I think we will conclude the recording. So push the button. Thanks for coming, everybody. I hope you had a good time.
Later.